Stop sounding like a gringo when you speak Spanish. Today I'll share 10 Spanish expressions Mexicans use every day in 10 minutes. Hey, it's Sarah. I've lived in Mexico for 10 years and I'm your guide to authentic experience in Mexico. Make sure you grab my Explore Mexico City cheat sheet in the description box or in the pinned comment. The first of the 10 Spanish expressions Mexicans use every day is dar el avión. Of course, you have to conjugate this verb so that it fits correctly. For example, no me des el avión. Me estás dando el avión. This expression literally means to give the airplane, which of course makes no sense. But when you translate how it's used in Mexican Spanish, people use it to say, you're just ignoring me, or you're just saying that so I'll shut up. Here's the second Spanish expression that Mexicans use all the time. When you're asking somebody for directions in Mexico, they might say something like this. Sigues hasta topar con pared. This expression literally translates to, you continue until you bump with the wall. This expression means that you're going to go until you reach a dead end and then you have to turn. And if you've ever walked around or driven in Mexico City, you're going to know that this is a pretty common experience. Mexico City is kind of a monstrosity that was extremely unplanned and just popped up, depending, of course, on the area that you go to. If you're interested in learning more about Mexico City itself, check out this video up in the cards. The third Spanish expression that Mexicans use every day is, sabe agua de calcetín. This literally translates to, it tastes of water of sock, or it tastes like sock water. Mexicans like to use this whenever something tastes really bad. I guess if you were eating soup that was made from dirty gym socks, that's kind of the idea that you're getting here. I have to say though, it's pretty rare that Mexican food tastes bad. I'm a huge fan of Mexican food. What's your favorite Mexican food? Comment down below, I'd love to hear about it. Speaking of Mexican food, I do all types of food reviews right here on the channel. Check out this video up in the cards to see a review of 10 street foods in Mexico City for under $3 each. If you want to learn Mexican Spanish for beginners, then you have to know this phrase. Me dio el mal del puerco. This one literally translates to, it gave me the bad of the pig. Mexicans like to say this when they're absolutely stuffed. Quick story, I actually heard a little girl say this the other day in public transportation in her cute little voice. I think she was maybe 5 years old. It was the cutest thing in the world. If you want Spanish classes with a native speaker, check out the pinned comment below or go to senorasarahsclassroom.com. Spanish classes for kids are over on my profile on outschool.com/teachers/Señora Sarah. The next Spanish expression that Mexicans use every day is que padre. This literally means, what father? And I'm sure you're probably thinking that absolutely makes no sense. Mexicans use this phrase to mean, oh wow, that's really cool. Right here, we're learning the Spanish language for free, so you have to know the following Mexican Spanish expression. Hablando del rey de Roma y este se asoma. Of course, I'm going to tell you the literal translation because it's just too much fun not to tell you. This literally means, speaking of the King of Rome, and this one pops up. In English, at least in the United States, we like to say, speak of the devil. Which, if you think about it, also makes no sense, but that's how we use it. If you're not from the US and you don't know what we mean when we say speak of the devil, comment below and we'll explain it. The next Spanish expression that Mexicans use daily is this one, llueve sobre mojado. Word for word, this one means, it rains over wet. In American English, we typically like to say, when it rains, it pours. I have to say, some of these Mexican Spanish expressions are things that I definitely did not learn when I was in school. I personally took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I wasn't really taught any of these. Expressions, of course, change from country to country sometimes. So a lot of these might not be common, say, in Colombia, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Costa Rica. Of course, I focus on Mexican Spanish because that's where I live. If you know another way to say any of these phrases, share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to learn a little more. If you're serious about learning Mexican Spanish for beginners, you have to use the word bien with everything. The word bien actually means well, but Mexicans tend to use it as an amplifier to mean like very, with absolutely every adjective you can think of. Here's a few examples. Ay, está bien feo. Ay, estoy bien cansada. Are you getting value out of this video today? Make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for future videos where I'm going to continue teaching you more Spanish for free. Who doesn't love free stuff? Our next Spanish word that Mexicans use every day is chafa. If you type chafa into Google Translate right now, I can promise you it's probably not going to give you any results. But the way Mexicans use the word chafa is to say that something is really chintzy, cheap, poor quality. And when I say cheap, I don't mean cheap like doesn't cost a lot. I mean like badly made. Here's an example of how I would personally use the word chafa, and I might get a little hate for this one. Ay, la comida en Sanborns está bien chafa. If you want to hear a story about how Sanborns served me raw chicken, check out this video up in the cards. I hear this next Spanish expression that Mexicans use all the time, and here's two variations of it. Híjole or órale. I lump these together because they're kind of similar, but admittedly, I do hear órale a lot more often. Mexicans like to use órale and híjole to show surprise or shock. It's kind of like saying, wow, really? No way. So here's a couple of examples. Órale, baila muy bien. Híjole, hay mucho tráfico. While you're waiting for my next video, make sure you check out this next one about the castle in Mexico City. I'll see you over there. Nos vemos!